Welcome to another episode of Action Martial Arts Magazine TV. I'm Ross Greenberg, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, KJ Kordick.
I'm super excited.
Tonight on our show, we are blessed. We are amazed. We are so happy to have Samantha win with us. Hi, Samantha. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you guys so much for having me.
We are very excited to talk to you with a lot of the projects you've done and your climb to being famous.
I wouldn't call it that, but I've been very fortunate, and I'm very grateful for that.
And she's Canadian.
Yes, that's the best part.
I have a lot of friends in Canada. That's awesome. That's awesome. I think I'd like to kick this off by saying that you have accomplished a lot of interesting things, amongst the fact that you are an actress, an active actress. You do stunts, right? You do a lot of really, really interesting things. We want to hear about all of that. So, what got you into acting?
Acting, it's hard for me to pinpoint exactly what and when. I was a kid. I was probably 4 or 5 when the acting bug bit me, and it was just in my head as always something I wanted to do. So it's hard to pinpoint where and when, but when I was younger, I did toy commercials, or I did print modeling for Sears as a kid standing with your fake parents to sell pajamas.
In the catalog? You mean you were in the catalogs?
I was.
The younger generation doesn't know that we waited for the catalog.
It's so at that time, thank you for knowing that. It was such a big deal because Sears would deliver the catalogs and my friends would see me on their doorsteps. And it was so exciting at the time. But I guess the acting bug bit me probably around the same time martial arts. I'm really stubborn. I've liked 2 things and just stubbornly only done those.
That's really cool.
Well, and her mother's a black belt too, so she grew up in the martial arts.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
Nice.
My mom was a black belt, and so it was a rule that when both my older brothers and myself were born, we had to go into jiu-jitsu. She did Japanese jiu-jitsu and at least get our
good choice.
But yeah, no choice. I'm glad. By the time it rolled around to be my turn, I was happy for it though, because having 2 older brothers could be challenging enough, but 2 older brothers that are on their way to be a black belt. You're the baby.
Gotta kind of keep up with these guys. No, I said a good choice because that's what I teach. That jiu-jitsu is my specialty.
Amazing. Oh, so I really think it was such a great art to learn growing up. It was the best all-round discipline, the physical part of it, working with other people. I really enjoyed it through my childhood.
Cool. That's cool. And so this is a question I don't normally ask martial arts, but since we're interviewing you, I'm entitled. What rank have you achieved in martial arts?
In Japanese jiu-jitsu, I had my junior black belt. So I did my tea ceremony, got my junior black belt, but I was still quite young. So, I wouldn't go around challenging black belts to fight me because I don't know how much of that I really retained, but I switched to wushu, which is a Chinese performance martial art, at age 11 or 12, and I competed at a really high level in that one. But what's funny about that is, even though it was my entire life, I trained 7 days a week, went to competed in the nationals, then the Pan Americans, and the World Championships, and I was fortunate enough that wushu was kind of like the exhibition sport, the 2008 Olympics, and qualified for that. So
you went to Beijing, correct?
Beijing, yeah. So I've gotten to the highest level you possibly can in wushu, but technically I still only have my blue sash. My coach just never held a grading. It was a very relaxed environment. I don't know if you know some other dojos or martial arts studios like this, but sometimes with the older students, you just kind of, when there aren't that many going to grade to a certain level, you just kind of fall behind. And Olympics and competitions were such the priority at that time that I think it just kind of fell through the cracks. So technically, I'm only a blue belt, but went to the Olympics for it.
I trained formally in Hunga Kung Fu with my teacher back in Long Island, and he never really. he gave me my first certificate when I started, and then the weird part was he'd take me into Chinatown. We go to Yi's Hunga, a big kung fu guy, and he'd bring me in there, and he wouldn't tell anybody, but I'd be training with the black belts, and they didn't know. So I trained with these guys. So I trained for all that time, and and I never asked him, hey, do you think I should be ranked at black sash or blah, blah, blah. I didn't care. I just wanted to know what he knew, Yeah. So same kind of thing. Before he passed away, the only thing I asked him for was, could you at least give me a certificate that says I trained with you for 6 years solid, and kept coming to your house. Another guy taught out of his house, trained with him for 6 years. That's all. I didn't care about being rank or anything like this. I just wanted proof that I did in fact do it. So I understand where you're coming from. It's like back in the day, it's like when people say, oh, look at me, pictures of me, training. Who thought to take pictures? I didn't even think to take out a camera.
So true.
There wasn't even a camera phone back then.
Yeah, flip phones, if that.
Polaroid,
Yeah, same thing. I should ask my Sifu now. I feel like it would be appropriate, but I feel like it's a mark of a good studio too. It wasn't so focused on grading students through just to get the money from the grading and the new uniform. It was really just work focused. So as long as we were showing up and learning the techniques, everyone was happy.
But think about what I said. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, Sifu, could I at least get something that says I trained with you from this period to this period on a consistent basis that shows that? So if somebody asks for a pedigree, you go, well, yeah, look, I have my proof of training with everybody. Yeah. But I'm not worried about the rank per se,
This is true. I've just been skating by on my competition ranks. I'm like, well, I competed, so it has to say something. But that would be nice for my own sense of peace, because I explain it all the time. It is a funny footnote.
It's
it's a great conversational piece.
It's a great thing to show the kids, the grandkids, this kind of thing. It's kind of neat. But so you do wushu, so you've done like the aerials and leaping through the air and all this stuff.
Yeah, and when I started, that was when those kinds of acrobatics were just being introduced into it. So it was very traditional when I started, and then as I was kind of getting to the level of competing, that's when all the rules changed. So I was really, really lucky that I happened to have done gymnastics and other aerial things just for fun. So I was a little bit more prepared for that switch, and I was able to thrive in it. But
and the way you roll around doing stunt work, you could now make sense with the gymnastics. You know what I mean? Because you have to, if you don't roll correctly, you're kind of hurting yourself. So I get in gymnastics, that's kind of like a prelude to learning how to do stunts, because you learn how to roll, basically.
Yeah, the amount that you fall trying to learn the flips, you have to know how to fall.
I noticed you were in Breaking, or was it Twilight series? That was when you first started doing stunt work, when you were first breaking into the business, correct?
Yeah. I on the very, very last one, Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. I got to work on it for a few weeks, doubling.
That had to be. Tell us about that. That had to be so real. I mean, I think you could have been one of the, the people that actually had a part in it versus the stunt woman. But hey, I mean, you're not going to complain if you get a job working as a stunt woman. So
yeah. Oh, thank you. Very sweet. I was very early in my career, though, so I didn't know as many people, and you always evolve as a performer. So I think I'd be more prepared at this point in life. But at the time, it was just such a hot movie for my age range and my group of friends. So it was really exciting, and what a treat to get to work on something that had such a reputation behind it. People actually knew what you're talking about. So often you work on this really exciting film, but because it's not out yet, no one knows what it is. So, it's only so exciting to people. But that one was really.
So did you do the fight scene, the major fight scene where, was that where you did the stunts? I mean, where in the movie were you kind of doing? What did they have you do?
The major fight sequence that I doubled, because I was only out there for a few weeks on that one. She had another double for a good portion, and she'd been working with her through all the previous films, but sometimes they bring in multiples when two people are needed at the same time, or there's a certain skill. But that whole sequence ended up getting cut from the film. So I know. But I'd had
Me too.
yeah, I
Man, we
know.
couldn't get a hold of it. The sequence that was cut,
They
It
should.
happens all the time, actually, more than people. I've learned sometimes you don't brag yet because, like, you could be on the chopping room floor real fast, and then it's like, oh, wait, I really was there.
It's so true. That's why you really have to just love the work part of it and love the doing, because it might never make it out to people. People might never see it. They might not know what it is. They might think it's terrible. If you're really attached to people thinking you're cool or watching it after, it could be a really hard industry. But, I had two
Well,
older
the
brothers.
experience alone must have been kind of cool to learn, to hang out like on a real production and at that caliber had to be so real a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't my first project, so I felt a little more comfortable in my skin, thankfully. But it just being Twilight and having big stars around.
What was one of your first projects?
I think so, but I think Scott Pilgrim might have been before it. The filming.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in that one too. I love that one.
Wow.
Yeah, so that and I think I had done. I think
very
Sucker
funny
Punch
movie.
was also before it. I think I had done a few projects before, so I was
You did
familiar.
stunt work in Sucker Punch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the double for Jenna Malone, who was Rocket.
Wow.
And that was another big production. It had to be so cool.
Great. That's another. You're naming all these movies I like. I'm like, what? You serious?
Oh, well, if you like the comic genre, that's been my bread and butter. It's been my
And then Mortal Kombat, was that one of your first acting roles? Like,
It was, yeah. Mortal Kombat Legacy was one of the first in more of a leading role capacity, or as one of the star characters. And I was pretty young at that point too, so it was just such a cool and rewarding experience to get to work with other more established actors in that capacity. I could really watch how they carried themselves and their level of confidence and how they treat the people around them. And I really tried to soak up whenever people held someone in a certain regard, and I would see that they treated people well. It was a nice thing to be able to model yourself after good performers. And I'm very lucky. I've had, by and large, very positive experiences with.
yeah, you were great in that part. You killed it. Definitely. And you have the body to run around in those kind of clothes. You know what I mean? Because let's face it, they had, the outfits were, very sexy. So I mean, some women, no matter how good they look, they still feel self-conscious. Not every woman who has a great body wants to put it out there. But I thought it was just enough, but not too much. I thought it was very kind of cool the way they had it looking. It wasn't in your face, but it was like, wow, she looks good.
Oh, thank you. And it's funny because looking back at that time, I appreciate the positive comments on the body, but as a young woman, I still did feel self-conscious, even though, you do the job. I feel much more comfortable in my skin now, just after learning to not care so much.
Right? I look at pictures from like 10 years ago and I'm like, I thought I was fat. What was I thinking?
What was I
You know what I mean? Like, I remember looking at the little role that wasn't even there, and it's so weird how you look at yourself sometimes, and when I look at myself, I feel like I got a big nose and I'm funny looking, and you just always you kind of pick yourself apart. So I've learned I'm just me, and I don't care. Everyone has uniqueness to their look in some way, or there's something pretty about everybody.
It's very, very true. And it's all subjective too. What might look unpretty to one person is the most beautiful thing to another. So really, it's just appreciating everyone for their uniqueness.
Well said.
And then, well, Ross, I haven't got. I know you got a lot of good questions. So
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'm finding this very interesting. The dialogue is much different than when we have a female on a show than a male guy.
Well, yes, I think you're the actual second female. We had Cynthia Rothrock, which was really cool. And I've done Christine Bannon Rodriguez, but on a separate show a couple years ago, which was Lady Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're all kind of cool characters, remind me of you and your characters, because it's just like really cool, sporty, kick-ass chicks. You know what I mean? And
Well, that's a huge compliment because I definitely came up in the time idolizing Cynthia Rothrock. So, I mean, what a cool person to follow.
It's quite
yeah, we got to get you
remarkable.
on Black Creek. You know, she's doing Black Creek too. It's last kind of film like that was Sharon Stone in The Quick and the Dead, and they actually filmed in the same place the Quick and the Dead filmed. And I'm super excited for her to release that. But I guess she's doing Black Creek too. So you should, you know, I could just tell you, you'd be like the best character. And people don't realize this, but you're Canadian and you are dual citizen. You got your dual citizenship, which is so it means you get the best of both worlds. And your mom Chinese or your dad?
My dad is Chinese.
Okay, and then your mom is Caucasian Canadian. So
Yes.
you have a really cool mix in you. And what was it like growing up mixing, being a mix? You know, I guess whatever the correct word is.
Yeah, I say mixed. I think, I don't know what other people say. I hope that's okay.
You know, I can't keep up to it. I just say, you know.
We get away with a lot on this show.
I know. But I feel the intentions, and hopefully people feel my intentions with saying it. But yeah, I would say mixed ethnicity, and I absolutely loved it because I feel like I got to celebrate both cultures, which meant instead of getting a watered down version of both, I feel like I just got double the fun. So I got to celebrate Chinese New Year's, but I got traditional, what we do for New Year's Eve. And I got to celebrate like the Lunar New Year and mooncake festivals. And I would still get Easter and Christmas. And it was just so many holidays, so many reasons to celebrate, so many different treats and festivities. And then another added bonus is that I feel like I can always find my people wherever I am, and however that means, whether it's that my people are the ones who also have more than one identity, and so it's more of like trying to fit two worlds together, or it's my people because we are both from North America and we share Western culture, or my people in the sense that we're both martial artists. But I feel like my parents were able to expose me to so much when I was younger that there's always a sense of belonging. And I feel like there's always something that can connect me to whoever it is that I'm around. And I feel probably most grateful for that, especially as an adult now, and you know, making friends as an adult or trying to fit into new groups in a new workplace. It's so much more intimidating now than when you're a kid and you could be like, "Hi, I'm Sam. What's your name? Let's be friends." And that's it.
That's how I was, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
And I noticed you rambled, wrestled with, like, I've done the same thing where I have like 3 names. I mean, they're all my name, but you know, through the years of growing from, you know, being in the business, you know, I went with one name and then I was like, no, today I feel like this name. And, you know, now it's like, oh, I kind of, you know, this multiple personalities or something. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I finally settled with a name, you know. So.
You had to see how funny it was one day when she referred to herself as Carrie Jean. Is that Carrie Jean?
Yeah, I'm KJ, but my childhood name is Carrie Jean, and you know,
She used a whole other name on me, and I went, "Who the hell's that?"
that's me.
Yeah.
She put that as the article by this person. I was like, "Who is that?" And she's like, "It's me." I'm like, "It's you."
Well, and I had my married name. I was like, you know, I'll put my married name out there, and then I'm like, what am I doing? You know, it's like, you know, when it don't work out, you don't want that name anymore. You know, it's like so. And I saw that you went through the same thing and changed from your married name, so we had that was kind of had a chuckle over that. So
it's so funny how the name changing. I feel like I just don't associate my identity with my name anymore for that reason. I've collected credits under all 3 names now. So it went from Samantha Chia, which was my maiden name, my dad's name, to Samantha Joe, which was my married name. And then I was like, oh, what if I get married again and then I have to change it? I can't change my name and have 4 names. That's just asking too much of people. So now it's Samantha Wynn, and Wynn is my middle name.
Yeah,
So
I love that name. I think that works out perfect. So
thank you. I can keep it. No matter what happens later, I'll always have my first and middle name.
Well, yeah, and the new guy, you just gotta tell him, I'm Samantha Wynn. I'm not, And sometimes it's good to have a little privacy, with if you do get married and you have take your married name. Sometimes it's nice to have that little privacy and then intimacy with that name instead of the whole world knowing everything about you. It's almost like you could have that separate, more quiet.
It's kind of like
I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
It's kind of like being a superhero.
right?
My alter ego.
Oh, we just were talking about that. Was really cool.
I love it.
That's great. That's great.
That's great.
I love it. I love it. See, you talked about body stuff like that. I'm working now on building that, what I call, so my teacher, I have a teacher, and I'm working out, I'm changing my body and stuff. And I mean, I'm working out 6 days a week. It's insane. But he said to me, so what is it you want? And I literally said to him, I said, I just once in my life, I want to have a superhero body, like these guys on Marvel, just like, and he goes, okay. But he's a tough man to deal with. But Tom Getling is a very serious martial artist, but he's an amazing coach. And I have to do some.
Yeah, Ross has lost some weight and been all.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
putting it on. I'm just out there.
It's never too late to start. It's never too late to want to be healthy. I mean, especially as you get older. Like I tell people, it's never too late.
But good luck with the process, because I've seen a lot of the actors go through their superhero physical journeys on set, and it's no joke. The diet part of it, because it's not just the working out, but the diet part of it is so strict. I just feel for them. They looked miserable.
And I like donuts.
Part of it.
I like donuts and cookies.
They do that to lose the weight in a very short amount of time, or for a part or whatever. For me, thank God for me, it's a life change, so I'm okay with that. And the kind of person that I am, I take the change very easily. So if I have to change something that says, well, you have to do this, okay, I'm fine. I just change and I do it. So the one thing was to get addicted to going to the gym.
Well, yeah, when he didn't even want to miss a day when he was sick. I'm like, dude, you need to miss a day and recover.
I wound up getting that crazy flu that went around.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I kept telling KJ, I gotta get to the gym today. And she's like, you crazy? What are you doing? And I said, no, I can't miss a day. I'm addicted to it now. I have to do it. I have to do it.
Oh, we got to queue up that thing. Watch this, Samantha. We're ready for you.
You're gonna love this.
You're gonna love this. So I almost fell over when I was watching the Oscars, and all of a sudden I see this great commercial. So we got to show everyone this great commercial, because I don't feel like it's gotten, people got to see it. It's actually cool, because L'Oreal is actually, is such a power woman type of company, and for you to be featured like this is just phenomenal. I think this is so cool. So Ross, do we have that?
Yes. I'm going to cue that up right now. The thing that I thought was really amazing about it, and this, I think this is what makes a good commercial, is that it had great action. It had a message because it was about the L'Oreal product, but yet it also had that touch of humor. The look on your face just was like, I just had to go, that's funny. That's good. So just the way
I could see that gymnastics in you, as we'll show the audience in about a second here.
And because I did stunt work too, when I'm watching some of the falls, you're going, oh yeah, I know how that feels. Ugh.
I just want to know how many bruise marks. I mean, I don't care how padded it was or how. I mean, there's no way you didn't have some soreness next day.
For that?
Yeah, no pads for that. But luckily, if you can see in the video, because it's like a behind the scenes kind of commercial, they weren't hiding any of the set. So you could see there's a stunt mat that I'm landing on, at least. And how often do you get to land on a mat?
But that's still gotta hurt. That's still got. I mean,
That's how you learn how to fall.
Yeah, well, you learn to do the fighting and falling for film and stuff, and I teach that stuff. But when you smash through the window and it's glass that designed to do that, but that's still going all over the mat, and then you're landing on that face first. Pow! I mean, I've done stuff like this it's not pleasant.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So
Well, we had a very responsible stunt coordinator, and they were just so great in the way that they designed it. So here, do you want to watch it first?
Yeah, let's watch it.
Okay.
I'm going to
So
cue
we
it
can
right
show
now.
the
Don't spoil
audience
it.
because this is really
I'm gonna
cool.
cue-
Okay.
I'm going to cue that up right now. Here we go.
This is my favorite hair products.
Me too.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Come on, play.
And you're all set.
Okay, Sam, you're up. Damn. Superhero landing. Let's go again. Awesome.
That is great. Wow.
Not a
Hand to
Superman.
her.
Oh.
That sugar candy. That had to hurt.
She's good to go.
Look at the face. Look at the face.
Oh, you look fantastic there. They should just make you a lead model. Honestly, they should make you a spokeswoman for that. We should all get together and get a hold of them and tell them we want Samantha to be the new spokeswoman.
Oh, thank you. Feel free. I love L'Oreal, so I really was honored to do
They
that.
were lucky to have you. I mean, honestly. I mean, you're
I don't know.
gorgeous. You're you're a woman's woman. I mean, you would represent great. I think they should give you a year contract or something. I don't know how it works, but I mean, so that's so cool. So tell us your experience about that, and that's just so cool to talk about.
I just want to say one thing. I don't know if you know. Do you know Art Camacho? Have you ever met him?
Art Camacho? No, I don't
Art
think
Camacho.
so.
He's a big time martial arts and director, and and see that look on your face. The reason why I connected with that moment with you is because I did a scene with him, and we went through this particular scene. And the girl who was doing the scene, who was supposed to grab me and grab my arm, and I go flying head over heels, and I hit the deck. Also, not wearing any padding on concrete, right?
Yeah.
This goes on 42, 43 times that we got to go through this.
Mhm.
And at that point, I'm not really happy, but I'm still, and I'm getting up from the floor, and they go, and they go, okay, so what do you think? I think we should do it. He goes, Ross, how are you? I said, do you want the answer that I want to give or the one I know you want to hear? He goes, tell me what I want to hear. I said, great. He goes, good. Let's take it from one. And that look on your face was where I was like,
Yeah.
So how many times did they put you through that?
Oh, that's so nice. I did a good number of falls. I don't know how many, at least a couple dozen falls, I think. But
yep.
it was just so well designed. The stunt coordinator had planned it so that the times where I was going through and falling on the mats, they would use these air mortars to shoot rubber glass behind me. So I was going through with rubber glass and landing on rubber glass, which it's so squishy, it's so light, it feels like nothing. And then I'm landing on a stunt pad. So really, in the stunt world, that's kind of as cushy as you can get it. So anytime I have to run and jump with the glass and land on it, they had me landing on that, because you're right, landing on the real glass pieces after going through tempered glass, it would just tear you up if you did that.
Did you have a lot of bruise marks? I mean, you still have. I mean, you were just like, it almost looked real. I mean, well, it was real, but you did so good. Like, I was like, oh my God, that had to hurt.
Oh, thanks. I might have had a small bruise or two, but really, kids, that's why you need to practice your break falls. It really saves you in times like that, because when you disperse your weight enough and you're kind of used to it, and I got to land on a pad, it really was no different than being in class and he's counting to 10 and I'm just doing break fall after break fall. So you get somewhat used to it just from repping it out in class like that. So I like to think that my body remembered it. Mm-hmm.
Did they ask you to do the one where you actually landed like on your face or like that?
No, but I thought it would be a good.
It was good.
Yeah, or at least the wide one like that. I think they felt bad asking me to do anything quite like that, but I just thought it would be funny to come through in a pretty dramatically like thump kind
Yeah.
of
It was good.
I thought,
We
well,
sold
that's
it.
where you're
It was good.
acting. I
Thank
mean,
you.
people don't realize, but there you still had a little, like you thought about it, because
Yeah.
it was very cool. I mean,
Yeah.
and to have it air at the Oscars, what was that like?
No, but the close-ups of the landing on my face were in the storyboards, and that was something the director did think of ahead of time to have my face just like blah, right into to frame. So really, I had such a good time on it, and I only jumped through the tempered glass one time, so it was as safe as something like that possibly could be. And jumping through the tempered glass, they let me land on my feet for that one, so I didn't have to slide in all of the real glass pieces after. So yeah, it was just such a success. They like covered up my exposed skin with this flesh colored tape to kind of protect as much as we could, and smooth day.
Nice. Nice.
And the makeup was actually flawless after. I went home exhausted, like a little sweaty, but my makeup was genuinely intact. And I was really putting my face into the mat. I was doing all of that, and it was 100% true. So
I'm gonna start wearing L'Oreal when I do my stunt work.
Oh, I love L'Oreal. It's an old company, been around forever, and they're the best. You know, they've out tested time. You know, so many other companies have gone down in and out. You know,
and the Infallible line specifically, when I've done my own shoots, like I did an underwater test shoot. I've filmed a couple like action things with friends. I actually use their Infallible Matte Pro foundation for it because it really doesn't move. So I myself, that is actually my makeup of choice when I don't want it to move. So to get to do the commercial for the Infallible line, I was like, well, that is a super easy endorsement. I have no qualms about that because I actually believe in the product. I already use it.
Right? They need to make, like I said, they need to make you a spokesmodel. They need to do more with you. You were just, and you have the best. You have a look right now that is just a really good look for just everyone, every day. You're just everybody's woman. You know, I mean, you kind of represent everything. You know, I just would love to see that. You know, I think it would be great. So everybody, let's write L'Oreal and tell them we want Samantha Wynn. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, and they were really so nice to work with too on set, and sending me home with some products after. They were just the sweetest, and I had no idea about that Forbes article.
Did you get to keep your outfit? I mean, that dress was pretty killer.
You know, I got to email wardrobe about that because I do need to. That was a killer dress. It was so comfortable. You never find that.
Yeah, see, there's got to be some perks. Got to be some perks. Come on. You know, but you know, one thing that you mentioned about where you don't, that scene that you put all that work into and then it doesn't make the movie. That's happened to me twice. And I was in a TV series with Steven Zahn and Christian Slater, and I think it was called Mind Games. And it was really good. I mean, a really good show. I watched it, and I wound up getting in as an extra. And I was pretty sure I was on camera. The camera came right at me, you know, and then went past me. And I was like, oh, man, I'm going to actually be in this thing. And I watched the whole thing, and it didn't make it. I got paid anyway, but it wasn't the point. I was like,
sometimes you really just want to be able to show, like, your family when you've already told them about it, and then it doesn't happen. And that is one of the heartbreakers of the industry. You really.
Well, your scene in Wonder Woman was good. That didn't get cut out. I mean, oh my God, she was flying through the air. I mean, it looked so authentic. So did they have ropes on you? Were you flying for real? I mean, were they having harnesses? Because I don't know how you did that. The one where you're off the horse or.
Oh, thank you. I was on wires for that gag, but it's so funny that you mentioned Wonder Woman for that because that was actually my other time where it did happen to me. There was a lot more that we filmed with my character for that one. A little small fight scene with Gal and my own beats on the. Yeah, and then those went away. But I didn't know until we were at the premiere. So I was talking about these things in interviews, and they were asking me, and I'm talking about specific moments, and I was kind of talking in a way where I had a little bit more meat to the character because I thought that was the case. And if they were asking me to do the interviews, I'm like, oh, I must not be cut out if I'm still part of the marketing. But yeah, probably 90% of it did go away. So when we went to the
Oh,
I was
see,
a little
I
like,
love
oh
that.
no! I put my
That's-
foot in my mouth a few.
Hopefully they have an extended cut coming out where they could put all that
Oh.
stuff back in. That would be great.
You
Wonder
know-
Woman 84. Get
Oh,
the
no.
extended cut. We want to see Samantha win.
Oh, it was for the first
Send
one.
that to them too.
Oh, thanks. But it makes sense to me, as an artist and filmmaker, and I'm trying to make my own projects now too. If I were
Really?
them, I probably would have done the same because I wasn't integral to the main plot, and at a certain point, you have to start trimming things. And I think it just makes sense. So it didn't surprise me in that way, only because nobody told me ahead. So I put my foot in my mouth in a couple interviews, but that's okay. And thankfully, I feel like I don't really feel attached to the outcome of things. I just had such a great time getting to meet everyone and actually working on it. And how often for work do you get to fly to Italy and work out on a beach and ride horses on a beach and that's your job? Never. So
There you go. I've never done.
exactly. Yeah, I don't know anyone else other than the Amazons with me that have gotten to do that. So, I mean, it's impossible to feel anything but just grateful for that
Yeah,
experience.
well, what an honor to just have any part in the Wonder Woman franchise,
Yeah, and for what it's meant for women at that time and all the young coming up, it's just to be a part of.
A lot of people didn't like the girl at first. What's her name?
Val?
Yeah, they thought she was too ethnic, or they were doing all that stuff, and then after she came out, everybody was like, oh wow, she's perfect, but you had all the people saying their stuff because she didn't look like the original Wonder Woman, who was basically tall, dark, and blue eyes, and so I thought it turned out great, but I can see you being like Wonder Woman's sister, 'cause that was a big
Oh, thanks.
Wonder Woman's sister. No,
Yeah, I think she broke barriers and it made it even more special that she was fighting that uphill battle. So good on her.
yeah.
Have you ever done any stunt work like in China?
In China? No, I haven't. I've only done stunt work for American projects. I did a series of commercials where I had to do parkour through a city in Japan before, but it was still commercials. It wasn't stunts, but it was active, and we worked with the marketing agency over there, and that was a fun experience too.
In China, when you do stunt work and you have to do a fight scene with somebody, they hit you.
I've heard.
I know people who did
I've never done it.
One of my teachers, he says he went there and he was doing a scene with a guy, and the guy hit him, and he was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" The guy, "Oh no, we hit." I was like, "Okay, well, thanks for letting me know." It's like, "Whoa."
Yeah, I have heard that in a few different countries. That is the norm over there. But you know what? Even over here, there are a few notorious performers who also hit stunt people for real and cause injuries, which I won't name here because I know better than that. But
we know what you're talking about.
We know better.
Yeah, it exists. So when you meet your fellow stunt person, give them a pat on the back. They've been through it.
When a stunt person winds up hitting an actor, they stop being a stunt person forever.
Yes.
No one needs to play.
Yeah. It's very true. That is it's a big no-no. It happens by accident sometimes, and depending on the circumstances, you can come back for it, but not without a lot of shame and crying in your trailer. So,
And sometimes that can end your career really quick.
really quickly. Yeah, it's very
So
true.
now you're kind of diving into making your own projects, you were saying? How did tell us, can you talk about any of that? That would be kind of fun to hear about. What are you doing? Are you producing? Are you directing? Are you, writing scripts?
I can talk about it a little bit, but it's definitely one of those things where I'm on the journey of it. So I don't want to talk some big game too much. Yeah, until I have a couple more checks in the box for it.
Give us a little taste.
Yeah, just in just to express that my journey as a performer is always evolving, and I love performing. So I'm still acting. I'm still very involved in action, but I have a creative partner I've been working with, and we've been developing a few different scripts right now. We have a couple proof of concepts that we've shot. I also produced a short film during COVID because what else was everyone doing in COVID? We needed an outlet. But yeah, I have a couple projects that I've been developing with my partner, which I don't want to talk about too much yet. But
when you get that where you're allowed to talk to us, you got to come back on the show. So
Yeah.
we're excited because we're actually highlighting her in issue 85 for Action Martial Arts Magazine.
It's going to be really
You're
good.
a huge fan of Action Martial Arts Magazine. It's been going on since this, forever. The magazine, it's right up there with Black Belt and iconic magazine. So I'm super excited that we're highlighting you. So that's we get to talk about. So hopefully by then we'll be able to put a little bit more in there. But yeah, so I mean, you are just. I have a feeling that you haven't even started. We're going to hear a lot more from you. You think your career when you're younger, but I don't know. You seem like you're kind of coming in your own and going to be doing a lot more. I have a feeling.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. I've never wanted to do anything other than I'm doing. So every day that I get to, I'm so happy.
So do you live in Canada or America? Like, or do you travel both?
I've been in LA since I was about 18. I made the move over here. So I'm still out here and still rooting for the city. I know with our strikes and COVID and the industry is shifting a lot right now. But
is your family still in Canada?
My family is still in Canada. Yeah.
I know you're real close to your mom and dad, so.
I am, yeah. And
hi, Mom and Dad, when you watch this.
Yeah. And I visit a couple times a year, but I've definitely built my base in LA, and a lot of my colleagues that I love working with and I respect so greatly, they're here. My friend group is here. My boyfriend is here. Life is in LA for me. What's that?
I want to ask, you did Army of the Dead. Yeah.
That's like a cult favorite now.
It even has the sequel with the guy who cracks the safes.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really cool. But Army of the Dead, that had to be real. I'm dying to know, what was it like to be on a set where you're dealing with like zombies, like zombies, you're there with David Bautista, and
yeah, you did 2 of them, right? You did the sequel too, correct? Am I getting that right?
Army of Thieves was mostly a German cast.
Okay.
So, yeah, mostly different. I think entirely different cast, except for Matthias, who's the lead in that one, and was our safe expert in our. Yeah. The experience of it was magical. It was like a next level version of what Mortal Kombat Legacy was to me when I was 20. Because working on Army of the Dead, I had such an extensive stunt career at that point, and this was one of the first times being cast in the main cast with the whole ensemble, with Dave Bautista and Matthias and Nora and Ella Purnell and Ana de la Reguera. So many actors where I was familiar with their careers, and I was so excited to get to see them working up and close, and again try to soak up as much as I could from the way that they interact, the way they are on set, and what they put into their characters. It really was such a great learning process. In terms of seeing the zombies everywhere, that was pure joy for me, because most of the zombies were in the fight scenes, which meant most of them were stunt performers, which meant most of them were my friends. So it was so fun to be going about your day, shooting people or interacting with zombies, but it's just your friends who now have these hideous sores on their face with like dried blood, and their hair's getting stuck in the dried blood, and they're trying to shake it off, and then they look emaciated because there's prosthetics on them, and
they look like bones and all nasty.
Yeah, and also to know that there were such incredible performers under they might have looked like just zombies, but Jessie Graff, who's in the Ninja Warrior, she's I don't know if you're familiar with her. She was one of the first to complete the obstacles fully. She has a huge following and such an inspiration to young girls.
Yeah, she was Ninja Warrior or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
She was
American Ninja
there.
Warrior.
Mhm.
I was aiming up, starting a fight scene, and I'm just looking at this zombie who's standing right next to my weapon, and I'm like, God, he looks so familiar to me. And I was like, Are you John Dodson? He was like a known UFC fighter, and he's like, Yeah. And I'm like, what is he doing here? And
That's
I think,
funny.
training in the area and had some friends who were working on it. So just, for a life experience, jumped on and fought with us for a little. So just,
That's funny.
yeah, so cool, so cool. And then other performers, which I'd worked with on past films for months on end, so they were just close friends. So that part of it, it wasn't scary for me because I knew all the people behind it, but it was also the most fun/challenging fight work that I've gotten to do, and that I live for. I love a good challenge. I love when it gets my brain moving and I'm having to learn or grow or exercise muscles I've never used. And that fight scene required so much in terms of memory, moving from one person to the next, and we did such long takes that there was so much to remember. Like, I have to pick up the knife from here and I have to put it in here, but I have to drop it here so that this hand is free so I can rip this off so I can do this. Then I have to pull this. There was just so much going on with my hands and the performers.
Mechanics of it, right?
Yeah. And then not to mention the muzzle flash it was a practical muzzle flash, but it wasn't activated by my gun. There was one of the fight coordinators had to press a button who was hiding in the corner. So I had to wait for him to press the button and the muzzle flash to go off before I could move on to the next. So I was having to dance with him in that way while Zack Snyder's holding the camera and he's holding the light of the muzzle flash above, and he has to memorize the choreography. So it's like the three of us memorizing the choreography with all the performers moving through a tight space. There were so many moving pieces that when we got through it, it felt like magic happening. Like if any one of us were someone else, I feel like it wouldn't have worked. But with that team and the well-oiled machine that we became by that time, because we'd all worked together before, it was such a cool feeling. It was just magic.
But I don't think people realize all that stuff that you just said there. Mm-hmm. All that has to come together just right to make this celluloid, to make this thing that's going to be on the screen. Mm-hmm. And you're like, we all watch it going, oh, that is so cool. But you don't understand how much work goes into that.
Mm-hmm. And it was even more fun than it looked from the outside, which is just such a cool experience. And you could hear I sound so passionate about it. I just love the challenge part of it. And that was such a challenging day. I felt so proud when we wrapped. And I love the feeling of being proud after a good day's work. So however it ended up, I was just proud of what we gave that day. But then to see the final edit, I think it did look really great. And people seemed to resonate with it. And even though you don't need the validation, it's still really nice to know that your work was appreciated. So I'm just so glad that I could give that to everyone.
What was it like? What was it like to work with Dave Bautista?
Dave is a gentle giant in every sense. He is such a presence and such a force and such an artist, such a quiet artist, but at the same time, his presence and energy and command is so big that he was such a wonderful person to watch. I loved being able to watch that he works and interacts with people, and the way he shows up for himself and how present he is in his work. He is such an inspiration for me particularly to look up to, because he traveled. He's already done the journey of being a wrestler and being seen in a certain light and being known for what he provides physically to a role. And he's the tough guy. He's this. And he's really gotten to mold his career in a way that has allowed him to show other parts of himself. And really, I think it's indisputable at this point that he's a fantastic actor and artist. He's not just muscle. He's not just what his his wrestling career was. And I really admire how he did that and how he was able to gracefully move through those transitions as well. He never forced it on people. He didn't have to shout it at the top of his lungs. He's just such a quiet, humble person, and he deserves every ounce of respect that he gets. So it was really great, and I'm over the moon that I got to work with someone like him.
Nice. Nice. It's
Mhm.
good to hear that. I like that. I like hearing when the interaction and that actors of his caliber are like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he really lifts everyone up around him too. And I feel like that's such a great marker of genuine confidence in a person. He's not tearing anyone down. He's trying to make people feel more empowered and more seen and just as important as anyone else that's there. He's not like, I'm the star. He's spreading that love to everyone around him. And the rap gifts that he gave us, none of us had chairs on it. We just sat with everyone or in the dirt or on part of the set. It was really lovely in that we were all together. It wasn't like the actors have the director's chairs with their names. So it was a unique and bonding experience to not have that separation between us and crew. But at Rap, Dave still gives a lot of times you keep your chair back as a souvenir. So the downside of that is that we didn't have the souvenir part of it. So at Rap Gift, Dave Bautista had chair backs made for us just as souvenirs. Even though we didn't use them, we still have them to take home. And
That is so cool.
yeah, just
What a leader too.
yeah,
A true
such a
leader
thought.
makes it about everybody else, and that's to me that's what a true leader is,
Mhm. Yeah,
That
truly.
is awesome. Wow. Wow, that's an amazing experience. So,
Mhm.
like, what was in that film when you were doing that? What was of the scenes that you did? What
Mhm.
was the most amazing thing that like? I saw you said, the gun blast, but what was the most amazing scene that you did that you put, that you were in that you did? What was your favorite? Like, what was your favorite one?
I
Ah,
mean,
I asked the tough questions.
yeah, well, I wish I had a different answer because I did say, but it's just so undeniable. That was definitely my favorite scene. And I know
Okay,
being a
fair.
martial artist and former stunts, it makes sense that I would pick the fight scene. But that fight scene, not only was it my favorite day, but that was my favorite fight scene out of all the fight scenes I've done because
so
of the
cool.
challenge of it. So that's why that was my favorite day, or the one I'm most proud of, excited, or that's what I would rate for it. But just to share more about the project. Another fun moment for me was we did this scene and it didn't end up making the movie. But
Geez, we could have a whole reel of the scenes you poor got cut from
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not fair.
this one makes sense too because the movie was great without it. You didn't need it, but it was really fun to shoot it. We were all in the back of a school bus under this blanket, like we were being snuck into the quarantine zone. And so, it's like 10 adults, big actors with big careers, and we're all under one blanket together, huddled and like trying to be quiet and bumping into each other's butts, and like no one knows who's who, and everyone's in the way, just like sardines in a can. And that was really fun just because it removed any sense of hierarchy or who's who or who's cool or and we were all just kids in a little blanket fort.
Uh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so
and
funny.
that part
It's
of
so
it.
funny how the commonality, it's just that's really what you get on some of these films too. Is you have you make lifelong friends.
Yeah, and I feel so close to all of them still. And I love this job for that reason. You do get to have close connections and make lifelong friends around the world and
Well,
share.
before
yeah.
we get to Ross's signature question, how can
Oh,
people find you and support you and follow your career and what is the best social media for people to do that?
oh, thanks. I have my Instagram page, which is at sam.antha.win. I'm a little sparse with my social media. I do have to admit, I just get caught up in life sometimes, but that would be the best way to kind of keep up. I also have a Facebook fan page that my amazing publicity really encourages me and helps me stay on top of and actually share things because I'll just be at home knitting and making candles, and he's like,
Oh,
Sam,
you knit?
you should really connect with people or sew. I have my sewing machine, so I like to.
Oh, wow. Do you sew any of your own outfits, or do you make like little booties?
I've made like little headbands and scarves for my dog.
Oh my God, that's so fun. My best friend took up knitting late in life, and she's like a natural. Like she says it really calms her down, and
What kind
she
of
just
dog?
loves it.
She's a half Jack Russell, half Chihuahua.
Aw,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
But
I have
or Mhm.
I have a 1-year-old pit bull that I adopted.
Oh, so
the blue
sweet.
eyes, the most cutest dog
Yeah.
ever.
It's really cute. It's really cute.
Oh, I love dogs. My boyfriend has two big fluffy dogs, and it's one's a Samoyed and the other's a half husky, half Samoyed.
Oh wow,
my
those
God.
are big dogs.
So fluffy, always smiling.
So you
Yeah.
knit his dog's outfits too?
Oh, they would overheat if they wore any clothes. Those are Arctic.
They got a lot of fur on those dogs you're describing. They're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially in where you live, it's probably a little warmer there. I
Yeah.
would
in LA.
think.
Yeah.
But it gets cold there too, doesn't it? You know?
Not cold enough for their taste.
Yeah,
But
correct. They're probably
cold for me, yeah.
ready to go to Alaska.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, no, mostly I'm just sewing and hemming like my own pants and dresses for practical reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, just getting caught up in life. But that I also have Vero, which is a social media that has no algorithms. It's really a great place for
Called Vero?
Vero.
Vero.
Yeah, Vero. That's a social
wow.
media platform I've been part of for a few years, and I'm a big advocate for.
I'll have to check that out. What is that?
It's just another social media platform, but it doesn't have algorithms. So who you follow, it will show what they post in chronological order. And it's a lot of people sharing their favorite books or movies, and you can save them. It's people mostly sharing the things that they think their peers would also enjoy. So
Zuckerberg doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone's looking for a new social media. Let's head over there. You know, Vero, all right. I'm all for it. I'm gonna go check that out.
yeah,
we like to promote our guests on their page with things so people can connect with you and communicate with you and see things you've been in and stuff like that.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Well, those are
We
probably
try.
my main pages for it. Mhm.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
We,
Ross, you want to give our signature question before we wrap it up?
I'm ready. Samantha Wynn. Can you tell us something about Samantha Wynn that most people don't know about Samantha Wynn?
Ooh,
I love that question.
yeah. Something that most people don't know about me
We want the inside scoop.
is that I'm wildly different from every character that I play. I bake and I make scented candles and I hem my pants at home, and I am a grandma. Whereas my characters, I'm not literally a grandma.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was going to say, you're a grandma.
I realize
You gotta
I'm
tell us
getting
about
to an
that.
age now where that it could
I think I
be.
look good for my age.
Multiverse. Your grandma in the multiverse.
No grandma.
Yeah.
There.
But I'm far less cool and edgy, and my characters have 10 piercings and face tattoos and solid abs. But when I'm not working, I have my muffins and cookies and cake.
Yeah, I'm a muffin and cookie person. You should do a baking show.
I would love that. That is
Let me know, because I just made banana bread for the first time, and my buddy who lives with me, he's very particular about what he eats. He's Mexican, and he's very particular about what he eats. And I made this banana bread, and he loved it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's a 5-star rating. I mean, like, so
Yeah.
Now we're doing hot sauce.
All right.
John Kanan, hot
Yeah.
sauce.
Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, he's a
Sean
he's a
Kanan-
fun guy too, Sean.
Yeah,
From Cobra
he-
Kai.
from Cobra Kai. He was Mike Barnes, and we had him on the show. So he challenged me because he told me about the hot sauce. So
Yeah.
I went and bought the hot sauce, and I do a video podcast cooking show with one of my students who is like, he went to chefing school. This guy, Jack Lindbergh, is amazing. And so we're going to do a thing where we're going to cook Illinois and Chicago based recipes with his hot sauce. And be like, there you go.
That's amazing. That's a great, Chicago, Illinois, and their barbecue and those kinds of food. Like that's the perfect product for that area.
We're gonna make a hot sauce pizza. We're gonna make a pizza with it's got hot sauce built into the sauce. We're gonna make mac and cheese. I think I'm gonna do possibly a lobster mac with the hot sauce in it. Yeah, I'm really right.
I'm a big foodie.
We're gonna make.
What's your favorite thing to bake?
Oh, to bake? Oh, I live to impress. So I would probably go for like a French patisserie, like a fruit tart. I've made those a couple times because you have to make the shell and it has to be perfect, and you have to make the custard at the right consistency.
Very delicate.
Yeah, and you need the chocolate layer there so that the moisture doesn't. I love things with high technique, and then layering the fruit in a pleasant pattern, and then getting your gelatin or jams or jellies over it to preserve. I like something where I can take my time in a meditative way to assemble, and it looks beautiful, and there's technique involved. So I would probably go with the fruit tart. That always seems to get the oohs and ahs that I look for.
Yeah, those are good, especially when you put a little brown sugar on them.
I didn't understand that feeling for a long
Or
time.
Confederate sugar, that's it.
My mom used to cook for family for the holidays and stuff, and she would cook for like 2 weeks. She was cooking and storing it and freezing and doing this thing, and then everybody come over on one night, eat everything, and there was just nothing to do but wash everything. I would look like, was that really worth that? I don't know. But now that I've gotten into chefing and cooking, right? I didn't even know I could cook, and I started doing it after I got divorced. I started doing a lot of cooking. I really got into it serious. Then I started cooking for people that I love, and I finally discovered that what you just said, it's when they react to it, and they're like, oh my God, oh, this is so good. And then there's this thing inside you that goes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I made that. You know. So I make my thing is to make Cajun ribs. I make incredible Cajun ribs. They come out just. All my friends go crazy over it. They ask me to make it.
Yeah, I love. I think that food should be added as an official love language. I know it could be an act of service, but it feels so specific to food. I guess that would be the thing that people don't know about me. That food is my love language. I love
I just like to eat food
for my friends, and when someone makes something, I feel loved in that way too. And I will spend weeks preparing for a dinner party or a recipe I really want to try, and then I'll spend days cooking it. And yeah, it might be for one meal, but it does feel worth it. So I love like getting really complicated recipes that take like weeks. Like you have to preserve your own lemons or make your own pasta or things like that. And I just love doing it.
Oh, see, now that's a good one. I'm glad you brought that out because that's a good one. I like that. Awesome. Well, we have, I know that I have absolutely enjoyed this. Again, because my whole
thank you for fitting us in, and
Samantha,
we know you're busy, so.
Come on. We would love to have you be on the show again when you do these other projects. Please don't leave us in the dark, because we love to promote things that our guests do. We love doing that. So if you want to get things out there, we'll go nuts. We're heading. God should hear me. We're heading towards our silver play button on YouTube. We've got a tremendous following. We've been so blessed to have a tremendous following and lots of people that really love us. And we appreciate our fans and our families and our friends that all come and share our show. We're just really taking off in a big way over such a short amount of time. And KJ and I just love doing this show. And we're so glad that you came on the show.
Yeah, it's just good conversation. I had such a great time too. And thank you guys for being so wonderful and all of your support. And we will definitely do this again then.
Oh, good. I'm happy. That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right.
All right, Ross, sign us off.
To our friends, families, and friends, we thank you for coming to another episode of Action Martial Arts Magazine TV, an Alan Goldberg production. We will see you soon at our next interview.
Where's my brother? I want to talk to him now.
That's gonna be hard to do.
Why?
'Cause he's dead.
Sign, and you live. I'll see you in hell.